Shania, let's look at what we know about the military advances. The areas in red are under Russian control. As we've been hearing, there's been heavy fighting in the southeastern port city of Mariupol, which is under siege. The key target remains the capital, Kyiv. But attempts by Russian troops to advance on the city have stalled. Ukraine has also held on to its second city, Kharkiv. That's in the east, near the border with Russia. It's been under constant bombardment. And there are Russian naval forces circling off at the coastal city of Odessa in the south. Now, military experts say the strength of Ukrainian resistance has forced Russia to change tack to a war of attrition, attempting to gradually wear down its neighbouring nation. Earlier, the Defence Secretary Ben Wallace held a joint news conference in London with Ukraine's Defence Minister, and he had this to say.
The Ukrainian people are suffering horribly at the hands of a Russian military that is using indiscriminate fire to kill innocent people and civilians, destroy infrastructure in cities, and basically erase to the ground a number of towns and cities. Very much the opposite of what President Putin has said he was about, which was apparently to liberate Ukraine.
Well, joining me now is Dr. Ruth Diamond, a senior lecturer in post-Soviet security at King's College London. Thanks so much for joining us. These Russian tactics, if they can be called that, appear to be more of the same. I mean, nothing almost seems to be developing, does it really?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's exactly what we've seen for the last week, really the last 2 weeks. And I guess that's a sign that the Russian army or Russian armed forces are kind of out of options. There's not much they can do. They expected a quick victory. They didn't get one. And so this is their fallback plan. And it's hard to know where they go from here, except more of the same.
And we can surmise, perhaps, they thought it was going to be like Crimea in 2014, sort of quite straightforward. This has been catastrophic for them, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's been a disaster in all sorts of ways. As you say, it seems pretty clear that they thought that this was going to be like the invasion of Crimea, but on a much larger scale. And of course, it's been nothing like that. It's been catastrophic for them in terms of the reputation of the armed forces internationally. You know, before this, I think everybody looked at the Russian armed forces as a modernized, powerful, effective fighting force. No one's going to think that now. And of course, in terms of the Russian armed forces' ability to actually operate effectively, that's been severely degraded as well. So all in all, it's a disaster for them, I think.
What are your thoughts on Mariupol, these horrendous images we're seeing every night? Is it sort of a warning to other cities, you know, that this could be you next if you resist?
Yes, very much. I think it is. And that kind of attempt to demonstrate, to threaten countries or other cities by force of example is something we've seen the Russian armed forces do elsewhere. But again, it's also evidence of the fact that the Russian army doesn't really have an alternative. They're not able to win this any other way. I'm not sure they're going to win it that way either. But again, it's more evidence of Russian military failure, I would say.
And a really impossible question to answer. I mean, how long might this go on for, though? I mean, are we talking months now, given how badly it's gone?
I mean, it certainly looks that way. We just don't know, of course, but, you know, wars tend to be pretty long affairs, as long as both sides have the capacity to carry on fighting. And we've seen enormous will to carry on fighting on the Ukrainian side. The US government said this afternoon that they think that the Ukrainian army still has 90% of its fighting capacity, which is remarkable after a month of attack by Russia. So, yeah, I think we're looking at a kind of longer war certainly than Putin expected.
Is there much evidence of what sorts of weapons the Russian military are using?
They're using a range of weapons, it seems. Not all of them effective. There's evidence that, you know, not all of their missiles are working as much as they would like them to. So they seem to be kind of throwing pretty much everything at this at the moment. Not their full military capacity, but most types of military capability that they have, they seem to be deploying in one way or another in this war.
And just lastly, Odessa, obviously hugely worrying as well. What's going on there?
Yeah, hugely worrying for all sorts of reasons. Firstly, of course, because it's a major city with a very large population, and so there are fears about what could happen to the people there. But also for Ukraine, it's very important. It's one of their key cities. And were the Russians able to take Odessa, that would, go a long way to completely cutting Ukraine off from the Black Sea, which would be devastating economically and militarily. So it doesn't look like that's happened yet, clearly, but that would be the big worry, yes.
Dr. Ruth Dairman, thank you so much for analysis. Thanks for that. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.